Okay, you probably heard a lot about digital tools. And you say, okay, this is another podcast on digital tools. Yeah. I get that. And you probably have heard cutting edge things about digital tools that you can use. We want to take this podcast and let's get back to the basics. It almost sounds like a country song. Let's get back to the simple things and some of the things that you just must have. And we'll throw in a bonus there with QR codes. I don't think that's necessarily a must have, but we're just going to give a reminder of some of the things that we think any church should and could have. I'm Tom Rayner, and I'm joined by Kevin and Thom, the president of the North American Mission Board. Kevin, I've got to share this data with you. It's kind of blowing me away. There was a recent study done on the number of churches in the United States. The standard number is right around 350,000. I think the U.S. religion census had it at 344,000. And another study has come in and said, no, you're missing 150,000 churches in the United States that aren't being counted. There are really about 500,000 churches in the United States. To prove their point, and this included researchers like Stark, who's one of the leading sociological researchers in the world, and to prove their point, they went to 3 different counties. That doesn't mean it's a massive study, but they manually went into the counties, asking people, going places, and tabulated how many churches they were. And they compared it to the religion census data, and the religion census data was off by as much as 40% in those 3 counties. And so, in other words, they could demonstrate 40% of the churches that were not counted. Again, 3 counties does not a study make, but it was their sample. And so think about the implications. Why would 150,000 churches not be counted? You got any clue?
No, I really don't.
I don't really either, Kevin, but possibly one answer is they don't have a website. And the perhaps when they use these algorithms to count churches, they have to have some type of digital footprint. So perhaps they don't have a website. Another theory that is out there is that there are a lot of churches that don't have church in their name. Hebron Church of Worship, or church, it may be Church of God or something. Well, that has church in it. Hebron House of Worship. Hebron House of Worship. Yeah, that they don't have church in the name, and so the computer's not picking it up. So let's go back to that first point, that maybe there are a lot of churches without a website. Well, let's talk about that, because we're going to be talking about some basic, simple digital tools you'll need at any time, but particularly during a revitalization.
Right.
Have you ever, Kevin, had a conversation with a pastor and that pastor is resistant to anything digital, specifically having a website for his church?
Yeah, I have considerably more before COVID. But yes.
So people started websites as a result of COVID. Talk to me about that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I talked to pastors who wouldn't see any need for anything digital. And then when COVID came, they realized, look, you got to have some type of central main gathering point for your church, where to send them to. I mean, they can send them to Facebook and those type of things, but one main gathering of all your info in a place. You'd be still shocked the amount of churches that do not have websites. Because I mean, we're constantly doing that, trying to locate, especially when we're going back to a planted church. We want to see what other churches are even near there, and it's amazing. And you get sometimes, I forgot the local website that they go to, but it'll say no website listed even. And so the local chamber of commerce may have it, and you can only imagine what's going through their mind when they put it up there, like clueless. I think it just says a lot about a church. I mean, when you don't have even that's just the basics. It's like having running water, indoor toilets, website. If you don't have that, it's a tough go.
That was my first building program, Kevin. We had no
Oh,
indoor toilets.
really?
Nope. And first building program was for a one-holer
Hmm.
addition to our worship center for plumbing and toilet. I mean, it was exciting.
Huh. Do you give it like $100 and you put your name on a bathroom tile or something like that?
You know, if I had been smarter back then, I would have done something like that. Or this flush is dedicated to, and you know,
Yeah.
something of that nature. We had an outhouse.
I'll tell you, look, this is going south really fast.
Okay.
We But I can't say anything because all these things are coming to mind. I realize it's just best I don't say it.
Well, we had an outhouse, but venomous snakes were spotted in the outhouse, and so people stopped going. So, and I never went. They just told me why it wasn't used anymore. So,
Yeah.
it's a very basic question. I become pastor there. I said, you know, I haven't asked this. Where's the restroom? We ain't got none. What I do? They said, well, you can go knock on the house next door. Sometimes they let you in.
Oh my word.
So my first building program was this small one whole toilet room, and then right outside was a sink. You know, so
Man. Well, there you go.
but then, yeah, we went south real quickly. Yeah, that's basic. But websites are simple and affordable.
Very affordable.
Yeah, it is not a cost issue. And if you can't do it, there's probably someone in your church, young, around 60 years old, they could probably do it for you.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you get on YouTube. There's so many simple ways to do it.
How do you
So
get on YouTube?
really, the
You're not on
expense is no excuse, and technology is no excuse. Do what? I'm
I said,
sorry.
how do you get on YouTube if you're not on the internet, though? Like, I was talking to a pastor about this, and he said he's not on the internets. I said, how long have you not been on the internets? He said, I've never been on the internets.
Oh, me. Bless his heart.
Yes,
Well,
yes, bless his heart, the famous words.
yeah.
Uh, then there's social media. Oh my goodness, you mentioned social media. A lot of churches, even smaller churches, do have a basic Facebook site. But here's the admonition that I would have to you: pick one type of social media and just stick with it. Don't try to chase the trends. Don't try to chase whatever's the next great social media. Don't try to be cool. Most churches have Facebook and they have basic information on it. Few churches just have Twitter. But as far as I know, if a church is on social media, they usually default to Facebook.
Hmm.
So that is where I would say choose one platform and stick with it with a simple plan. Going back to the website, basic information, physical address, so people can know what to put in their GPS, worship times, and keep them current.
Right.
Just kind of simple as that.
It's not that hard.
Nope.
It's just not.
If the pastor changes, you may want to change that on the website as well. I've seen churches with signs where they just put a new 2x4 over the sign every time a new pastor comes in.
Yeah. Always got a kick of normally the church sign, and then they have a little bit, 2 chains, and then a little plaque with the pastor's name. And when you drive up and the pastor's name's, kind of flopping in the wind, it's temporary. So,
That's hilarious.
they did that on purpose.
And here's the thing about it is some of your senior adults are on Facebook.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why a lot of young adults don't go to Facebook and teenagers, because they say it's gotten too old. So
Yeah.
if they're there, you can be there as well. Here's something else that we're talking to church leaders about in terms of simple technology. Communicating with them through email addresses. I mean, is it really that difficult to, have email addresses? I mean, would you think that most church members in most churches would have some kind of email address?
Oh, absolutely. I'm really, when you even get to senior adults now, I mean, I don't know when is the last time I ran into somebody that did not have an email address.
My mother-in-law.
Well, there you go.
we did get her internets, but we we she never would sign up for an email address, so she does not have email. So
Huh.
so
Well, that's
I
interesting.
just want you to know, Kevin, if you want to contact my mother-in-law, you'll have to call her.
I'll have to call her. Okay.
Yeah, but let me also say you'll have to use her landline because she does not have a mobile phone.
You got the rotary dial?
No, no, it's push button, but it's
But there lies the complexity of a pastor. I mean, he's trying to, they're trying to revitalize the church. The poor guy's trying to connect with people who use Twitter and people who still have a landline phone. I mean, it's a wide variety of people out there.
Yep.
So.
Uh,
But you're right. Most people have email. The important thing is just use them. You need to communicate. There's never been an easier time to over communicate to your people than right now.
Yep. So I mentioned to you in a previous podcast, I'm really loving just being a church member and not going places on the weekend, teaching my community group, listening to Jess preach. I'm really, really loving that. And as the leader of the community group, I send an email out once a week and say, all right, remember we're going to be studying this. I call it pull in an ezel and put something humorous in there that, maybe just a little wacky, but it's called pulling an ezel, and I may put something in that. And sometimes I just put something totally unknown. I mean, it's just nobody can understand what I'm saying. And I'm trying to see if they're really reading my email. In fact, I've even put it in there sometimes. Hey, if you happen to read this sentence, tell me that you read it. And they'll come in and maybe one person will say, I read your email.
Yeah.
So over communicate with the hopes that the people will be listening and reading what you're sending. Let's go. We're just talking about basic issues in technology. We've talked about social. We've talked about website. We've talked about social media. We've talked about email. I want to park on the next one for just a few minutes, and it's text. Text is becoming one of the most preferred methods of communication today. And a lot of churches have methods to text their members en masse. Tell me what you're hearing about the very simple technology of text messaging and any thoughts that you may have.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the way we have people sign up for absolutely everything now. We had our Sin Relief leader was at a church last week and said, hey, if you have interest, we didn't even set up a table, brochures, anything. People don't want to come buy those before or after a service. If you have any more information, text this. And had 78 people respond. We never had 78 people stop at a table and talk to anybody. And so it saves us sending, resources that people don't want. And there's no way to calculate the different ways you can use that mobile number. And, actually now there's ways out there when you do, there's a way to capture mobile numbers out there at certain events. It's pretty amazing technology. So
I wish cell phones were around. So in essence, you could theoretically do text messaging when back in the 90s when I finished my last pastorate. That shows how old I am. But you just didn't text people. The cost was too high. The charge per character and all those kind of things as opposed to unlimited plans today. But I talked to pastors today, Kevin, and they use texting as a key method of their pastoral care. Someone's about to have surgery, 5 hours away, text them instead of making a 10-hour round trip.
No, absolutely. And again, like you said, just you can take 15 minutes in the morning and you can text 5 to 10 people. Just say, hey, praying for, and I've gotten to where I do it individually. So I'll say their name or something because some of them say, hey, brother, you doing okay? They could copy and paste that to 30 people. It's like, but to mention their name in some way, I think it does matter. And it really helps you I think even going through your own prayer list, if you just, have my phone open and I'll have my iPad open. And if I think to pray for somebody, I'll just text them, hey, just
So,
just prayed for it. I appreciate people praying for me, but I like knowing it too.
yeah, Sam Renner, pastor, my son, pastoring in Bradenton, Florida, does the same thing. He keeps his prayer list open at night, and he may not text everybody, but he'll text a number of them and say, "I want to let you know that I
No,
pray for
just
you."
as they come to mind or want to. Yeah,
That's a great way to
and you
do
get a
pastoral
sense sometimes.
care.
No, absolutely. Oh, tons. Yeah, and thinking of people on their birthday. I mean, all kinds of little. I wear it out, and I like doing. Of course, I got an iPad that syncs with my phone, and so I can type out those things on my iPad. So I text from my iPad, and it's wonderful. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It makes I know what you're talking about, and I think most of our listeners will know what you're talking about. So essentially, texting can be a way to communicate. Texting can be a way of pastoral care, and texting can really be a source of efficiency for you. I'm hearing from pastors that church members really are not as excited about pastors coming to the hospital for minor issues as they were. They don't want you in, and if you can get in the room, they don't want you in the room.
I was going to say you normally can't get in the hospital. But you know what I like about text is you can read it when you can. You're not interrupting somebody. You know, and so man, it's just almost a real courteous way to. And I've gotten where now I just say, hey man, you up? You got time for a call, and it's a great option. I just encourage pastors, man, you can really make a lot more of your time if you do
Yep,
that.
totally agree. And there's just a multitude of ways that you can use text in order to do pastoral care. Let's talk about this. This other one comes a little bit out of left field, but I added it because Kevin Ezell has just influenced me so much to be a Cracker Barrel. And I have a Cracker Barrel within a very short drive of my house. And uh, my wife has been recovering from a surgery, and she loves to get vegetables from Cracker Barrel. So I've been doing pickup there for her. And I was in Cracker Barrel doing a pickup, and there was an elderly couple. And I mean elderly, they're older than me, Kevin. So elderly in the classic sense of the word. They're elderly. And this older couple comes in, and they said, "How many?" And two. And they get the menu. The lady gets the menus out, and the old man says, "Don't give us a menu. Show us your QR code." I was just shocked. And he gets out his phone, and he goes to his app, and he takes a picture of the QR. He didn't want to touch the menu,
Yeah,
but
I love
this
it.
was an elderly couple. Now, in the church where Jess is pastor and I am the second oldest person there. At 67 years old, only Dan is older. He's 68. So I'm the second oldest
Mm.
person there. So it is a young church. And so it is not uncommon for there to be all kind of QR codes in different places. Hey, get information for this event, do this, whatever. But
Mm.
I don't know if this is going to be a thing in a lot of churches. It may not even be worth mentioning as far as technology goes because I'm doing the basics here, but I threw it out there as a bonus.
Yeah.
You ever use QR codes?
I mean, I use them. I use them all the time, but I don't like have one that I put out there. We don't. But yeah. Oh, it's funny you mentioned Cracker Barrel. The last time I went, there's an older lady at the cash register, and she was disgusted with me because I kept wanting to push my card in. You've gone from swiping to insert. Now she says all you have to do is tap it, and look, you're supposed to be serving me here, not insulting me. I didn't say that, but I said yes, ma'am. I'm a slow
Oh
learner.
gosh, you've had
It's just funny how people are catching on, and the age is not the thing there. It's just a matter of openness, I think. But going back to QR codes, I mean, use them all the time. Used them several times this week. Typically at restaurant, I like it. It's quicker. And now you take a QR code on the receipt, and you can tip right from there and pay your bill, and you don't have to mess with waiting. Let them take your card and come
you're talking
back.
about Cracker Barrel
I
does
love
that
all
too
that.
now.
Oh yeah, but I've expanded.
You go to places
I've
other than Cracker
expanded.
Barrel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
well, I I threw that in as a bonus. So as we're talking about simple technology, I think where I would come back on this, a basic website is critical, and text messaging can really help. Those are the two biggest takeaways that I have from this.
Make the most of your time. Yeah, absolutely. And you can be just as personal and honestly, sometimes, man, if they really want some personal interaction, you can do the old FaceTime, and they can be at a real kick out of it.
Yeah.
So
don't FaceTime unless you ask ahead of time, because you never know what you're going to see when you.
No.
Well, we've been talking about simple technologies. We know that there's been a host of things written about technologies. But we want to just talk about, what are some of the basics we can use? I know we went off a little bit on QR codes. I'm not sure that's I should have included that, but certainly a basic website. What are the two things you need? You certainly need a physical address, and you need worship service times. There's a lot of other things you can read or listen to podcast, watch podcasts, whatever the case may be. And then text messaging, which may be one of the most important ways to do pastoral ministry today, and very helpful. As always, thank you for being a part of Revitalize and Replant. We're always thankful to the North American Mission Board. I always give them thanks for providing this ministry to you as a free ministry coming from them. And if you're at YouTube, give us a subscribe and give us a like. Or if you're listening to it on your favorite podcast app, give us a rating and review. We say that again and again, but that gets the message out that this ministry is available for you anytime you want it. Thank you, as always, for being a part of Revitalize and Replant, and we'll help churches get healthier together.